All right, before we begin today, we are starting on a new section of our journal that is for the second 6 weeks. It doesn't change anything in your journal, but I do want to throw this out there. After looking at journals from last 6 weeks and your journal test grades, it has shown me that many of you that are at home are still not keeping up with your journal. You need to have a journal that you are adding all of this into. It is a requirement for this class. It's not optional. That journal test should be a free A or free 100 every 6 weeks. But you have to write down exactly like we do it in our journal. We do have printouts that we use in class. You do not have to print them out, but that means you need to write it exactly as it is. And I can tell by your journal grades that you are not. So please take care of this. I cannot force you to do this, but it is part of this class. So please keep up with it. All right, these are the 2 handouts we're using for today's journal. As always, I'm going to do it by hand. We are on page, sorry, this journal is not labeled, page 14 of our journal. Page 14 of our journal. And so we're going to divide it into example 1, example 2, and example 3. Example 1, example 2, example 3. And then I'm going to label this as A. So we have 6x minus 11 equals 31. Our example A here is x over 3 minus 12 equals negative 14. And then our example A for example 3 is x plus 3 over 6 equals 2. Now hopefully you've looked at this and said, oh, these are familiar. We did these last year. And you are correct. Solving 2-step equations is what you learned in 7th grade. We are just doing a review of it still before we add on to it. So, just like before, we're going to draw a line down our equal sign. This time we have 6x minus 11. I want x by itself. That's my goal, is to get x all by itself. So with it, I have a 6 and I have a minus 11. We're always going to take care of our addition and subtraction first. So the inverse of subtracting 11 is to add 11. So I'm going to add 11 to both sides. This cancels, leaving me with 6x. And 31 plus 11 is 42. Now, when I have a number attached to a variable, that number is called the coefficient. The variable is the x. This means multiplication. The inverse of multiplication is to divide. So we're going to divide both sides by 6. And we're going to get x equals 42 divided by 6, which is 7. We can plug it back in if we want. 6 times 7 is 42, minus 11 is 31. All right, let's look at the next one. We're going to draw a line. My goal is to get x all by itself. We're going to take care of our subtraction first. So inverse of subtraction is to add 12 to both sides. This cancels, leaving me with x over 3. Negative 14 plus 12 is negative 2. X over 3, so I still want x by itself, so I have a division sign and 3. The inverse of dividing is to multiply times 3. These cancel, leaving me with x equals negative 6. The third example is a little bit different from this one. This one we have this minus 3 out here by itself. Minus 12 all by itself, so we were able to take care of that separately. But this one, our plus 3 is in our problem. When it is in the problem, we have to take care of the division first. Okay, so I still want x by itself. This is divided by 6, so I'm going to start by multiplying both sides by 6. This is going to cancel this 6. leaving me with x plus 3. 2 times 6 is 12. The inverse of adding 3 is to subtract 3. These cancel, leaving me with x equals 9. All right. We're going to look at some more examples. We're going to go down a little bit, and we're going to look at some example B. So we have negative 9x plus 7 equals 25. Our next B is x over negative 2 plus 8 equals 1. And our last and final B is x minus 17 over 5 equals negative 4. All right. So let's start with the first B. We're going to draw our line. We have a negative 9x. We have a coefficient of negative 9. And we have a plus 7. So inverse of adding 7 is to subtract 7. So subtract 7 from both sides. This leaves me with negative 9x. 25 minus 7 is 18. Coefficient of negative 9, so we're going to divide by negative 9 to get rid of it. X equals negative 2. All right, let's look at our next example. Draw a line. Take care of that addition first. I'm going to subtract 8 from both sides. This leaves me with x over negative 2. 1 minus 8 is negative 7. This is divide by negative 2, so its inverse is to multiply by negative 2. Negative 7 times negative 2 is positive 14. In our third B, again we see that our subtraction is in our fraction, so we can't do anything with it until it's out of a fraction form. So we need to take care of it, divide 5 first. So divide 5, we're going to do the opposite, multiply times 5. These cancel those 5's, leaving with x minus 17. Negative 4 times 5 is negative 20. Add 17 to both sides. X is going to equal, this cancel, negative 3. All right, we're now going to slide to the left of page 14. So we're still on page 14. Hopefully you realize after your journal test that it's extremely important that your page numbers match mine. So we're going to start with example 1. So we have 4x plus 3 equals 15. So we're going to subtract 3 from both sides. This cancels, leaving me with 4x and 12. 4 is my coefficient. A coefficient's attached to the variable, so to undo that multiplication there, I'm going to divide by 4. And x equals 3. All right, we're going to come over here and do example 2. And we have negative 5x plus 10 equals 75. So I'm going to draw my line. The first step is to undo plus 10. So I'm going to subtract 10 from both sides. This leaves me with negative 5x. This leaves me with 65. That's multiplication, so the inverse is to divide by negative 5. These cancel. Positive divided by negative is a negative, so negative 13 is my correct answer. All right, let's look at example 3. We have x over 4 minus 3 equals 7. So we're going to draw a line. We're going to add 3 to both sides. We make x over 4 equals 10. This is dividing by 4, so I'm going to multiply times 4, which gives me x equals 40. Let's look at example 4. X over negative 3 plus 9 equals 4. Equals negative 4. So I'm going to draw my line. Take care of that addition by subtracting both sides by subtracting by 9. Negative 4 minus 9 is negative 13. Multiply both sides by negative 3 to get rid of that division. These cancel. Negative times negative is going to be a positive. So that's going to be a positive 39. All right, 2 more examples. Example 5. X plus 3 over 4 equals 7. So again, this addition is in my fraction, so I need to take care of the fraction first. And we're going to do that by multiplying both sides by 4. The difference between this one and the last one is, remember, that plus 3 is in my fraction. It's not outside my fraction. And yes, you can't subtract. If you go ahead and try to subtract by 3 on these, it's not going to work. It's not the same. So subtract both sides by 3. Cancels, and we get x equals 25. And example 6. X minus 2 over negative 7 equals 3. So need to take care of that fraction first so I can get that x minus 2 free. So I'm going to multiply both sides by a negative 7. Which cancels, leaving with x minus 2 equals negative 21. To undo, the inverse of subtracting is to add. So I'm going to add 2 to both sides. I get negative 19. All right, it's extremely important that you are keeping up with your journal. It's extremely important that you're not getting behind in any of your classes. Every week for my class, you're going to have journal pages. Every week you will have a vocabulary assignment. And every week you'll have some kind of assignment to turn in to me showing me you understand. If you're having questions or issues, please let me know. Most of you figure it out. I will answer as quickly as I can. So if you have any questions about this lesson, just send me an email.